Welcome, YouTube friends and family, to a surprise edition of The Wellness Homesteader. So, as I said, I was going to take a break, a couple-week break from YouTube. I'm not going to promise any sort of regular schedule till I get my mom situated. However, I realized there are things I'm doing anyway, so I might as well turn on the camera and share with you. So, I will leave a link in the description box to the test that will entitle you to a discount on the test from Everlywell. Now, this is not a sponsored video. I paid for this test out of my own pocket. And what it does is you just prick your finger, you squeeze it, fill up some circles on a card, you send it in. This is not a food allergy test. It is a food sensitivity test. The one I chose, they have various levels, was the highest level. I figured if I was going to do it, I might as well do all the foods. And it tested for 204 foods. And it's spices, it's some processed food, it's some not processed food, but it's common things that will cause you symptoms in your body. And I don't talk a ton about my autoimmune disease, and I was just watching Jessica over at Three Rivers Homestead, and she was talking about the GAPS diet. And I just want to share a little bit with you about my Everlywell results, what I think I'm going to be doing to try to help myself, what I found out about food sensitivity and what it could be doing to my body, and maybe some solutions. So I hope you will stay tuned. We're going to be putting together a little snack. We're going to be making some fermented carrots, which I absolutely love, and I'll share that with you in just a moment. So I hope you'll all excuse that I'm sitting in my chair, but it's just easier that way. So what did the Everlywell food test tell me? Well, it told me some things I already knew, that I have a huge problem with soy. I already knew that. But what I had noticed is certain dairy has been giving me a lot of issues. So after soy, my number one sensitivity is cow's milk. Number two is rapeseed oil, not grape. I don't like the name, but the other. And that is a vegetable oil used very commonly in, I'll say, convenience food, fast food type places as their vegetable oil. The third one that I don't think is a problem, because I don't want it to be, happens to be vanilla. So that kind of eliminates vanilla almond milk. I should just be drinking the plain. So in total, guys, I have 35 food sensitivities. Now, I will say with a caveat, while I may have reacted to 35 things, it's usually like the perfect storm that causes a problem for me. And through all this emotional upset with my mother, and yeah, I am kind of on the ragged edge, guys, with my lupus. I have not taken my lupus medication for about 1.5 years because it became unaffordable. I think it's $21,800 a dose, and you need 4 doses a year. I don't qualify for patient assistance. Medicare will not pay for it. No Medicare plan will pay for it. So I'm just kind of out of luck. So I've tried some alternative medicines that I felt the side effects were, even though they were a lot less expensive, the side effects were not good. And I felt no difference in my body. So why take something if it isn't really helping you, right? And guys, I've done all this under physician supervision. Let me clarify that. So when you have autoimmune diseases, there is theory out there that it's caused from a leaky gut syndrome. So our guts, if you will, our intestines, our colons, are full of bacteria, some of which are good, some of which are bad. And the bad ones feed on certain types of food. Hence, you have to heal your gut to stop the leaky gut to stop the autoimmune disease. And I've never really stuck with it, guys, because it's not easy. It's basically you eliminate most carbohydrates and yeah, all sugars, you know, that kind of a thing. So you can't have your starches and sugars, no potatoes, no rice, no sugar. And I can deal with the no sugar better now because I'm not such a sugar hog, although I love my sweets, guys. I love them. But I could give those up. But it is a very restrictive diet. But part of healing your gut is to eat some fermented vegetables. So I just took some time to download and tell you a little bit about the GAPS diet. I can tell you Jessica's video is great. I can link it below. It's large amounts of nourishing substances for the gut lining with easy to digest substances, removes fiber and inflammatory agents that are irritating to the gut lining and may interfere with the healing process, and probiotics to repopulate and change all of the microbes that is found in your colon. So there's an introduction part that's really strict, and then you go on to the basic GAPS diet. Now y'all know I love making my bread. I don't eat tons, but I mean that's regular part of my diet is grain. So they're in 5-gallon gamma-sealed buckets that are supposed to keep grain fresh for many, many years. So if I lose some grain over this, but I feel better, that's a good thing. So I've never really shared a lot about having an autoimmune disease, except in my very first video. Guys, don't go watch it, it's horrible. The lighting's bad, the sound is bad, and I was nervous, and all of it shows. But what lupus is your body, for whatever reason, turns on itself. So it starts to make antibodies that fight different parts of your bodies. For me, it's been primarily joints, but it can also attack your heart, your lungs, and your kidneys. So it is important that you keep your flares in check. Excuse me. I have never had a kidney problem. I have had the pleurisy from the lungs, and I have had pericarditis. So I've kind of had the gamut, but I haven't been bad like that for a lot of years. Going along with this autoimmune thing, I have IBS. You know, I don't have Crohn's disease, but I have terrible IBS. So when one thing flares up, the other thing flares up. And generally, there's kind of a trifecta of things I know I'm doing wrong that will cause a flare. Stress, lack of sleep, not eating right. So I pretty much have lived the trifecta since Mom fell. Just because I wasn't at home, I was eating out, I couldn't sleep, I wasn't resting well, and I've been very stressed. So when I'm about to have a flare, I know it. And guys, I'm about to crash, and that's not very much fun. I mean, it will put me down, like in bed down, because you just feel so bad. You just hurt all over, and you feel just generally sick. That's the best way I know to explain it. And then I will have an irritable IBS flare on top of it that always goes together. So I'm going to try to head this off by changing my diet. And what you basically eat is a lot of broth, meat, and non-starchy vegetables. Such a long list of things you can't eat. And when I put that, it's really funny, when I put that with my food sensitivities, they lined right up, guys. It's almost like the foods you're not supposed to have are the foods that I'm sensitive to. So I'm gonna give it a shot, because you know what? It's never gonna hurt you, or I don't believe, but never take my advice, always check with your physician. So I pulled out my fermented carrots, and if y'all can see the mold on the top, this is my last jar, so I thought I'm gonna make some. Guys, I use the liquid in making fermented ketchup. The carrots are great to snack on. This one has a giant jalapeno and lots of homegrown dill in it. So what you need is For every gallon of non-chlorinated water, and we're only going to do a quart, you need half a cup of salt. And then if you want, and you need unrefined salt. So I'm going to use pink Himalayan. Per gallon, 2 tablespoons of sugar. I don't use the sugar personally. Sugar is one of the worst things for the leaky gut. And I like it, actually it gets more sour with the sugar. I like it a little better without it. It is so easy. So now that I have an RO system and it filters out 100% of the chlorine, or 99.9, what I've done here is I've just filled up my Le Parfait with a quart of water. I am going to go ahead and add about 3 tablespoons of salt. And guys, this does not have to be exact. I have kind of winged it the whole time, and they always ferment, and it's always really good. Now, I will tell you, if you have salt restrictions, this is a salty brine, very salty. Now, I don't have carrot sticks, but I have baby carrots. I cleaned out the fridge, can y'all tell? So, I've washed those well. I may have, I overfilled that a little bit. Let me just, and if you have too much brine, you can keep it for up to a week in the fridge. Wow. I got a little carried away, guys. Sorry about that. And I'm making a huge mess. Now, I don't have, I'm out of garlic. Guys, I cannot wait for gardens to start coming in. I'm also out of homegrown dill, which is unfortunate. I had so much, I didn't grow dill last year, and I used it all this year. If I had whole garlic cloves, I would take that, but I don't, so I'm gonna put about, I don't know, a tablespoon of garlic. And you can add lemon slices to this. I'm trying to think of what else. You can add daikon radishes to it. I'm just gonna do carrots because that's what I happen to have on hand, and these need to be used up anyway, so we're gonna ferment them. That's probably about a tablespoon of dill. And to spice it up, I'm gonna add a little bit of ginger. And guys, I am not gonna mess with peeling it because I'm not going to eat the ginger. This has been well washed. And then you want to keep this in a cool and dark place. Let me just read it to you. 7 to 14 days. If the brine evaporates, you can, add more, make more and add more. You do want to keep your vegetables covered. You want to make sure it's not like in direct sunlight, that type of thing. Generally what I do is I just stick it in the pantry cabinets that you've all seen 1,000 times. Latch this down. Give it a little shake there. I'll just keep it there, and it does absolutely fine if I don't forget it and turn it into my apple scrap vinegar turned into apple hooch, so I forgot about it. But I'll keep it in the front, keep a close eye on it, and in about a week I will have non-moldy fermented carrots. And even just a couple teaspoons of that brine, if you don't like the taste of the carrots, added to, say, your broth, can really help your gut. I like this book. I can link this, called Fermented Vegetables. It's written by Kirsten Shockey and Christopher Shockey. They are really big into farmsteading and quite knowledgeable, and you can ferment and pickle about anything. So a lot of times people will say, well, if you need good probiotics, eat yogurt. Well, if you can't have dairy, it's a little tough, guys. So I'm going to go the pickled veg route. I'm also going to be making some more broths. The birds are out playing. Some more bone broths. I need to make a run to the Amish store, Maybe I'll do that first of the week when I have a little bit of time, if I have a little bit of time. I'm gonna run and see my mom here and feed her for lunch and let this start fermenting. And I hope this has been helpful to you all. If you have an autoimmune disease, whether it's Crohn's disease, lupus, anything in that spectrum, I do believe diets can be healing. I will say you have to have a motivation. And I do. I have a very strong motivation in that I want to be there for my mother during this challenging time, number one. I don't want to crash and burn because, guys, it's not fun. It's a whole cycle of medication and steroids, which have tons of side effects and are not good long term. I don't want to do that. And I want to be able to enjoy my life. You know, I'm retired. It's time to enjoy, right? So I want to be able to enjoy my garden, to work outdoors, to do all those things and not be laid up with horribly swollen joints and inflamed hands. Keep my hands down. Because I'm, you know, having a terrible flare and sometimes you just can't push through it. Another part of lupus, before we close, is something called lupus fog. And it's kind of like how they say you have pregnancy brain. It's kind of along those lines. I have not experienced that I know of. But you simply never feel rested. It's a sort of an exhaustion feeling as it comes on and progresses. So that's not real conducive to getting a lot of stuff done in the spring. So I hope this has been helpful. If you do have an autoimmune disease, check with your physician, guys, about a GAPS diet or a diet that might be appropriate for your disease process. We don't have to just do typical Western medicine, i.e. prescriptions, i.e. lots of side effects. Because we have a chronic disease, sometimes there is a simpler solution. So I hope you found today helpful. Do me a big favor, go ahead and smash that like button. Drop me a comment below. What do you think of some fermented vegetables for this summer? We're going to be having a bounty very soon. Lots of things to pickle. If you'd like to see more pickled recipes, let me know. I need some daikon radishes, right? I need to go to the grocery, but I haven't had time. All right, guys, I'll see y'all very soon. Until then, be healthy, be well, be blessed. Take care.